Today on Animal Fact Files, we're talking about tuataras. It may be wrong to call a tuatara a lizard. Sure, they look like our four-legged scaly friends. However, they aren't really related to them. Tuataras are from their own unique order of reptiles, to which no other living reptiles belong. Some scientists argue that tuataras should be separated into different species, but as it currently stands, there is only one living species of tuatara, though they don't seem to be really aware of what some might consider a lonely existence. Apparently, tuataras aren't against bullying one another for good den sites, and they may even engage in combat during the breeding season. Also, they can be super old, so personally, I see these guys as the grandpa reptiles who just want to live in peace and keep everybody else off their lawn. Tuataras are found in New Zealand. They once populated the mainland of the country, but at this point, their populations are limited to remote islands off the coast. These islands are difficult to access, and even if someone went through the trouble of getting to one of these islands, that person wouldn't be able to take a tuatara home. Tuataras are legally protected and have been for more than 100 years. Only recently have zoos been allowed to exhibit tuataras, and even that is limited. Considering their peculiar lifestyles, even housing a tuatara could prove quite the challenge. You know how many reptiles prefer warm temperatures? Tuataras aren't like that. In fact, temperatures over 80 degrees Fahrenheit could prove fatal to these lizard lookalikes. Their preferred temperatures are typically somewhere between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but tuataras can still live their normal lives even as temperatures dip into the mid-40s. I can barely function at anything below 65 degrees, so they've got me beat. Thankfully, the islands which they inhabit are usually in the perfect temperature range for these rare reptiles. Like the chuckwallas we've talked about previously, tuataras live in rocky dens and tend to live solitary lives. When they do get together to breed, it can be a raucous affair. The breeding season for tuataras occurs at the beginning of the year, and it takes at least 7 months for a female to lay her eggs. Tuataras are slow developers. It can take upwards of 20 years before they're ready to reproduce. And once they do, it might take 4 years between each time they're willing to breed again. The eggs of tuataras take at least a year to develop before hatching, which means that once baby tuataras emerge, it's been more than 2 years since they were conceived. Then they have a life of potentially more than 100 years ahead of them. Along with their slow development, tuataras are slow metabolizers, meaning they don't eat a lot of food. When they do eat, their food comes in the form of bird eggs, worms, snails, frogs, lizards, and arthropods, while young tuataras may be taken by predators, including other members of their species and introduced rats. The adults, reaching an average of 1.5 feet in length, are typically left alone. Like iguanas, tuataras can come in different colors, with some appearing red, others olive green, and more a shade of gray. The males also support crests down the backs of their necks and along their backs. Female tuataras may also show off these crests, though usually not as prominently as their slightly larger male counterparts. For more facts on tuataras, check out the links in the description. Give a thumbs up if you learned something new today, and thank you for watching Animal Fact Files.